Right, we're back. Welcome to another week of InstaGamers RAW. Hi, I'm your host Nathan, also known as No Signal on Instagram with a 0. I'm a lecturer of games design and a budding indie game developer. Who else do I have on this panel this week?
Hi, I'm Ellie, aka Alilu, gaming influencer and Twitch streamer.
Hi, I'm Rowan, aka Gumfist. I'm about 4 beers down, and I'm a game design student.
Hey! Nice to have you guys back. We'll start off with a little catch-up about what you guys have been playing recently. Ellie, do you want to go first on this?
Sure, yep. Well, I've been playing quite a few new things. I'm gonna start with like the cutest and work into pretty much what is the opposite of that. So I have been playing Disney Dreamlight Valley, which I downloaded on Xbox Game Pass on a whim. As it, if you got Game Pass, it's like kind of free to play on there. And I thought I would like it, but I definitely underestimated quite how addictive it would become.
Right.
Literally within minutes, I was like hyper focused. Like I couldn't put it down. Like that was then the rest of my days. It was the rest of my days for a while until I had to make myself come away from it and do something else. So I've been playing that. I've also been playing Splatoon 3.
Cool.
As Nintendo very kindly gifted me a massive PR box full of goodies, including the physical copy of the game.
Awesome.
So I've been playing that with viewers. We just did a giveaway last night with some of the items from the box because, like, I don't know, like I get sent a lot of stuff, and like for me personally, I like to just keep stuff that I know I'm gonna use. Or that like it has like I don't know, it's just I'm gonna get use out of. So anything that is kind of like collectibles that I might not keep. I can do giveaways and stuff with my viewers, so it's nice to just like give something back as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
If anyone's interested in my Twitch channel, that is just Elilu, ELLELOO. And yeah, there'll be more giveaways coming up. But yeah, the Splatoon one is done, but it was really fun. And then I also have been given a code to try the preview of Scorn, which I have on right now. I'm gonna see if I can try and record some of the video footage of it. I'm like allowed and everything. That's what this is for, is to get some more hype up for the game. But yeah, I can tell you about any of those games. Let me know which ones you guys are interested in hearing about.
I've been following Scorn since like the initial like teaser. I've been really interested in that one, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
following that quite closely.
As soon as I saw the teaser trailer, was it like last year it dropped? I think
it was been like
even
for a while.
It was like it was an Xbox Series X sort of preview launch game, wasn't it? Like this is what's coming up on Series X. So this is like way back in, God, I want to say like 2019, isn't it? Do you reckon that was
yeah, that sounds right. When I first saw, the first time I remember seeing the trailer for myself was last year, but I might have glimpsed something before then, I'm not sure. But I just remember Summer Games Fest last year, so I'm getting excited. And the Xbox showcases and things. Like during all of that, somewhere I saw the trailer for it and I was like, HR Geiger, yes please, let's go. So yeah, I was lucky to spot that one of my contacts in the industry was looking for people to give out the codes to. So I managed to grab one of them. So I've got the preview for it at the moment. I can tell you a bit about that if you guys want to, or I can not
Absolutely,
say anything.
Yeah. No, I mean,
awesome,
so the preview, is it like a early build or is it like a demo or what is it?
I think I would just say I haven't read anything about the preview and I haven't looked at anyone else's videos about it. I have just had the code and I've just gone into it. One thing I did know though, because I know one other person that has had the code, and they said to me basically they were recording and they were like, it took absolutely ages. It was like a little bit stressful. The puzzles were really hard. So I was like, okay, so I do want to stream it and to show like my viewers and stuff about this game. But I thought what I'd do first is jump into it, have a look around, see if I can get an idea of how the puzzle is going to work before I stream it, because I am really dumb. Like if I'm streaming and there's something I have to work out, it will take me literal like the whole stream to work out one simple thing. So I thought I'd do that first. But basically, it looks like I think maybe this is like the very start of the game potentially. Like there's no fighting, there's nothing to fight or anything at the moment. It's like it feels a bit like a labyrinth. There are control panels that are dotted around in like different, I want to say rooms, but it's like they kind of feel like rooms and kind of like not rooms. It's weird. Do you remember at the start of I think it's the first Alien film, they walk into, there's the massive spaceship and they walk in and there's like the weird chair.
Oh yeah, the Prometheus chair.
Prometheus chair, yeah. And there's definite chairs in this, so it's like making me think of that. But then there's these control panels, and like you have like no skin on your arms. I don't know why. I'm getting to it. It's good. Yeah. And the control panels, you might have seen this in the trailer actually.
You might insert yourself, right?
You do. You insert your hands in, but like the way there's like the holes for they kind of, it's like they're waiting for you, and then they just ever so slightly open up a bit more as you put your hands in.
That's very Geiger.
It sounds very Geiger. Yeah.
It's like imagine something being really, really suggestive with like I mean even the way the light glistens off.
Okay, stuff. I'm sold. I've already pre-ordered it now.
But it's like that. But imagine the skin was removed off everything. So take from that what you will.
So is it like a horror game? Does it feel like a horror? Like it's going to turn into like a survival horror or something, or is it more puzzly than that? Or
I'm not exactly sure. Again, I saw the trailer last year. I just remember the visuals from it. I don't really remember too much what I saw, like of the type of gameplay, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I'm avoiding looking at other people's content at the moment because I just want to kind of enjoy like the demo.
Probably the best way to experience it, I know.
Yeah, but from what it is so far is basically you wake up and you've got to find your way through these doors, and I think you're trying to get out of this place, and there's been nothing to kill. There's no weapons yet. I don't know if there might be later on, but there's a puzzle to solve, and I'm always really gassy, I'm sorry. As you go from room to room, you find a bit more of the puzzle, and it's like you're trying to find what's the right route to start the puzzle from. And I think I've just found that. So now I have to work out, I think something's dropping down, and I've got to get it from A to B, probably to get through to the next bit. But it's all like, I mean, I think the graphics look really good.
They looked amazing on the trailers.
Yeah, I think that I don't think I'm the best judge of graphics because I mean, I didn't realize that the world was actually in HD until I got glasses last year.
I feel that.
So yeah,
I get that.
So
yeah.
I don't, and like, you know, when people got like when Blu-ray DVDs came out and HD TVs, I couldn't tell the difference. So I don't know if I'm the best person to say about graphics, but to me they look really good. Everything you look at is a piece of art. It's very atmospheric, and I love puzzles, so I'm really excited, but I am scared because, I mean, I don't generally get scared by horror games that much. I actually find them quite comforting. Yeah, they make me heart beat a little bit too fast sometimes, but I quite like them. But I am scared because in this game there was one room where as I opened the next door to go through, a ton of canisters fell down, and that made me scared. I thought, okay, so it's obviously trying to jump scare me with these falling canisters. Well, what does that mean is going to happen later? If that's if it's like teasing me with that, and I'm getting scared.
The anticipation of it, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, I always find that a lot more scarier than an outright like jump scare.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure if something is going to try and kill me.
That's what makes it scary, because you don't know.
It's definitely one I'm looking forward to. Though Scorn's like one of those games that, you know, sort of back when the Xbox Series X was launching, it was one of the games that kind of sold me on the idea of trying an Xbox, because I'm normally a PlayStation kind of person. But yeah, I think I've got it pre-installed, like all set to pre-install on Game Pass. Scorn. It's on my list of, like, same with Plague Tale Requiem. There's a few games that you can.
Oh yeah. You
pre-install like 200 meg, I think, but then later on when the full pre-install comes out, it'll just do it overnight. So Scorn's day one for me. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to play that game as soon as it comes out. I'm really looking forward to it.
I think
I'm super
I mean,
jealous.
you'll get it soon. It'll be out soon. Don't you worry about that. But I think both of you guys are really gonna like it. Just visually from it, I don't feel like I can say too much about the gameplay just yet because I am literally trying to figure out one puzzle that's in this demo. So I can't tell you too much. But at least visually, it's pretty amazing. I'm looking at it right now. You can, if I get close to the camera, you might be able to see in the reflection of my eyes.
Something glistening in your eye. Well, for our viewers watching on YouTube rather than listening on Spotify, like Ellie said, we'll put some footage up while we're talking about this section. So that hopefully would have happened while Eddie's been talking. About Splatoon then, going back to Splatoon as well. Did you play the first two? Did you play Splatoon 1 and 2? Or are you a big fan of the series?
I nearly said I said splayed. I played Splatoon 2. I've never even, I don't think I've ever been in the same room as Splatoon 1 before. I've never touched it, but Splatoon 2, yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
That's like the opposite of me. Like I played Splatoon. I own Splatoon on the Wii U, but never got Splatoon 2. I'm not really a huge Splatoon fan myself. My wife absolutely loves it. She used to just absolutely like put hours into the first game. She usually play with the big paint roller, just running people over with it.
She's one of those, is she?
She is.
Actually, a good player. Then there's me with my Julies, and I don't even know how to roll.
But is Splatoon 3 looking good? Is that like a...
Yeah, it's a nice little update to the game. I personally don't think that it's too different, but I think that perhaps I don't know, the people wanted it. I don't know.
Some of those series is nothing that just iterates, so each one maybe adds something a little to the formula.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of deal.
Yeah, so far I've only played it online with viewers and stuff, so I haven't kind of explored what the game may potentially have outside of that. But I know that they've added in I think they said a card game. There's a card game in it. Obviously, there's going to...
Yeah.
Well, hopefully not as hard as Glint, because I suck at Glint. But yeah, I think there's probably some updates to weapons and gear. But what I really liked about it is as soon as you turn the game on and it's got this whole new kind of hub and lobby, it's just got a good atmosphere. It's really nicely designed, and again, I think for me the things that kind of grab my attention in games are the kind of initial aesthetics that it's going to show you. But one thing I was kind of concerned about was I really love the music from Splatoon 2. Well, a lot of the favorite tunes from the second one have been kind of redone in kind of a new way for this game, and it still works really well. You're still going to hear your favorite music and everything.
Is it still the two sisters that sort of sing good stuff?
They have two different characters now. I think one of them is called, is it Fry? I think they're meant to look like fries, and the other one has like a tentacle on their head or something. I'm not too sure. And then there's a manta ray. I can't remember his name either. I have a really good memory for stuff, don't I? But
just make up names. Tentacle Jeff.
Yeah.
And Hentai Bob.
Yeah. That sounds right. But yeah, this weekend was Splatfest, and you can choose between Team Gear, Grub, and Fun. I went for Grub because I'm always thinking about food. Marry me pizza. And so we played that last night. It was really good. It is challenging. I mean, Splatoon as an online game has always been challenging. I think it's one of these games where if you haven't played it before online and you look at the box, you're going to think, oh, that looks fun. That looks cozy and easy. And then you play it and you're like, actually, people are horrendously good at this.
Yeah, I heard it's kind of sweaty. Like people get like very good at it to the point where they're like almost really competitive with it.
They are very competitive with it. It's very, the sweat everywhere.
It's the gyro controls, isn't it? Like people get really into the motion controlled aiming, and then if you can't get into the motion controlled aiming, you just get absolutely destroyed on the internet.
You can turn off the gyro controls. I didn't do that when I played Splatoon 2. I always played with gyro, but this time I thought I'd try it without, and I've also decided I could have obviously used the Pro controllers, but I just kind of, I don't know, I find the Joy-Con really easy to just grab and go and play. But I have this little thing you can kind of slide them into, and then it holds it like a Pro Controller. So I've tried it that way, and I do think I'm doing better with that. I have this friend, Jess. Hello, Jess, if you're listening. And she's really good at Splatoon. And while we were playing last night, she kept telling me, like, do this, try this, do this thing. And like, usually you know what I'm like, guys.
I will not do that. I'll do the opposite.
Yeah. Usually I cannot stand being told what to do in any capacity. However, Jess does things the right way for me. She knows what I'm like. And I was like, I think I actually improved a bit. I went from like an average of 2 kills per game to 3.
It's the little victories.
And I think we probably won about 2 out of 10 games. So yeah, that it went well.
It's getting
Yeah.
I need to
practice a bit more.
Rowan, how about you? You've been a bit busy recently. Have you had time to game?
So not really. I've just survived my first week of uni now, which is kind of crazy. And it doesn't feel like it's been a week. Like, it feels like it's been like 3 days. And it was those first 3 days that were just like, I was just swamped. But gaming wise, I got back into playing Payday 2. I don't know if you guys played Payday before.
Old school, yeah.
Yeah, well, I used to play it. That game, basically, I probably would have passed more GCSEs if I spent more time revising as a kid. So I was playing more Payday. But yeah, just jumping back into that, and it's a new community. It's like,
what is Payday?
Ooh.
Sorry, I don't know about Payday at all.
So Payday, originally, it was a PS3 exclusive, right?
Was it exclusive to PS3?
The original was, yeah. It was a Sony Interactive published one. Payday's a heist game. It's like a co-op. You work together in a team of 4, and everyone has like a role, like the enforcer, the medic.
This sounds fun.
Like, it's brilliant. And the original Payday was great. And I was reading up on it. And that whole game series got created because they heard the gunshot effects in the movie Heat. And they were like, wow, the shootout scenes are brilliant. Let's make a game. And that's basically how Payday came along. And then Payday 2 was like the massive relaunch of it in like 2013 or 2012, I think. And the game has been like consistently updated all of these years. So it's on sale at the minute. And I picked it back up because I used to absolutely rim that game. That game was my life for like a few years. Yeah. And InstaGamer RAW. But yeah, I've just been playing a lot of Payday to kind of like kill time. It's the best game that you can pick up and play with random people. But if you have a squad, it's fantastic. Because robbing a bank with friends is great. And apparently...
in real life and... okay.
Allegedly. But there's a third game being made now as well. They teased it, so I'm quite excited for that.
For PlayStation 5?
Yeah. I think it'll be on everything. But at the minute, the best place to play it's PC, I reckon, because there's so much free content and there's loads of DLCs and stuff. But I've just kind of fell into a hole playing that again. And I've been trying to play that new Call of Duty. I've been trying to play the new beta, but my Wi-Fi is too bad for it, so I can't play it. Like literally my whole like squad of people I usually play games with are all on it. Like, come play it, Rowan. And I'm like, I've got 900 ping, so so I'm just kind of like playing Payday because that's the only game I can kind of play online at the minute. But yeah, I haven't really had a lot of time to just sort of sit down and play a game, like a solo game. I'm thinking jumping back into Cyberpunk though.
Me too.
Because I'm getting on that bandwagon. Because everyone's saying it's brilliant.
Everyone's jumping back onto it, aren't they? Because of the anime.
It's been reappraised, isn't it? Because of not just the anime, but also I think just the updates it's had, and it's kind of generally in a better state that it's been in before. Apparently,
it's very good at the minute. I haven't seen the anime yet. It's on my list. I'm just waiting.
It's on my list.
I've seen a lot about it, and I'm like, I don't want any spoilers, but I've heard it's really good.
I just avoid spoilers, like not just spoilers, like what I was saying about the games earlier. I just avoid looking at anything to do with anything that I want to try. I'm bad for that.
I like it with films as well. Like if a film's coming out that I really want to see, after the first sort of teaser trailer, I'll just avoid it then until it comes out in the cinema.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I'm like.
it's the
Yeah,
best way to be.
yeah.
But I'm going to hop back into that, and probably next podcast I'll tell you if I hate it or not. But I didn't like the game originally, but then I kind of got back into it when I got the PS5 update, and it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty. I think I'm almost done, so I might start a new playthrough, but I'm not sure yet.
I think the latest update is called the Edge Runners update, isn't it? It's like I think it's directly tied to the enemy.
So I was talking to some friends about it earlier. They told me they've added like items of clothing and weapons from the anime into the actual game.
I think like missions and stuff as well. I think like side missions and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe each update will get a new series or something. You never know.
I think they said. I'm sure I read somewhere that either this update they've done or there's something coming out, but that'll be like their one big update. And then the rest of it will just be like obviously little tweaks and stuff to make it super stable. But like I think the CD Projekt Red are kind of not done with Cyberpunk, but in terms of the development of the game, I think it was
I feel like
such hard work for them to get it where it is now.
It's kind of like they booted a football into the garden, and now they're coming back to be like, okay, we've got the ball, but like we're scared to come back now.
Yeah,
like, we don't really know.
This other Witcher ball which everyone liked. So yeah, there's loads of like calls, isn't there, for staff to work on Witcher 4, whatever that might turn out to be. So I think they're going to end up diverting all their energy to that. Talking about Cyberpunk though, or Cyberpunk settings, I played through Stray the other weekend.
Oh yeah.
It's only a short game. It's about 6.5 hours it took me. I did have some trophies I didn't mop up, so I'm guessing it would take probably about 8 hours if you did everything. Have you both played Stray?
No,
I haven't touched it yet.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting to play it.
I know Tommy mentioned it last week about how it was, along with Elden Ring, perhaps is like other game of the year. I can see what he means. I absolutely loved it. Like for me, it's a 10 out of 10 game, just because
I think it looks amazing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I'm currently doing an indie game course at the moment at Masters, and this was like made by an indie game, small indie game crew, and it just looks so incredible. I'm sitting there watching. I could never make this. I can never make anything as good as this. The environmental detail is insane. Like it rivals lots of AAA sort of productions. Like just looking at the lighting, all the different sort of like really small details in the environment and the fidelity of it. It's a really stable game. It's a beautiful experience. But like also as well, like it's just obviously I like cats, so there's going to be an emotional part of that anyway. But like it is a really emotional game. Like by the end of it, I was like struggling to hold back some like manly tears.
Oh wow.
But I love games like that. Like any game that kind of really touches me like an emotional level, immediately gets projected into sort of 10 out of 10 game for me, because I think that's quite rare. Games are like quite cheap a lot of the time. They do cheap tricks to kind of get you to feel an emotional.
It's kind of like when you do feel that feeling, it's when it breaches to where a game is an art form.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
I don't think that sorry to jump in. I don't feel like I don't think I've had many emotional experiences from a game. Obviously, I enjoy playing games and I play them frequently. Maybe I'm not playing the right games. I don't know. I just don't get that. Like I get hugely emotional from films.
Yeah.
Like even stuff where I shouldn't be crying, I'll be crying. Even like, like cartoons and stuff, like I'll be crying, but like I just don't.
But the start of Up, game. You can't not cry at the start of Up.
Yeah.
But
Monsters Inc.
Oh, Monsters Inc. as well, yeah, and Toy Story 3.
All the Toy Stories. Yeah.
But I don't know, like there's been a few games, not loads. I don't sort of sit there crying at every game and play like Sonic the Hedgehog. It lost its rings again. But like but like I don't know, have you played The Last Guardian? That I'd be bawling my eyes out.
No, but I know that probably will get me. I think maybe it's to do with cute innocent animals and I don't know.
Walking Dead season 1 Telltale every time.
See, I haven't actually played that, so I have heard about how emotional it is.
I think you should go play it.
So many games.
It had me sobbing, and I did it like 3 times now. It had me sobbing every single time.
Oh well, there you go. That's that's I said, like it can't be a cheap trick if like it's genuine.
It's like Last of Us 2 as well. That game like destroyed me to the point I was like, I'm never playing this game again.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like
fantastic. I'm not going through it again.
No, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think I'm sure that was in a previous, a question, which was sort of favorite game you never want to play again, or whatever, or best game you played you never want to play again. Yeah, Last of Us would be part two would be up there. No, like an emotional response from a game doesn't have to be like crying. Yeah, because you're right. Like Last of Us Part 2 didn't make me cry or anything like that, but like it was grueling to the extreme. Like you felt emotionally wrecked at the end of it.
I think the opposite end of that is Guardians of the Galaxy. That game got me so hyped. Like that game is perfect. Like I will not take any slander on that game. That's a fantastic game. And if you're listening, go play it.
Yeah, it's a bit with the space dragon.
Yeah, the end. Yeah.
Yeah, the big fight at the end when what's her name? Lady Hellbender.
Yeah, she like breaks through.
And it starts playing some like crazy like 80s rock. And I'm just like, I was actually out of my chair, just like, So like Metal Fist.
Awesome game.
Great, yeah. Right. So this question comes from Cole, MGA Captain Cole New. That's MGA _Captain Cole New on Instagram. And this is quite a hard question, actually. I had a bit of trouble with this. What game struck you as having a deeper meaning or poignant message? Anyone want to go first on this? I can go first if you guys want.
Yeah,
you go first.
I'm trying to find the answer I had for this one.
I found my answer. I'm like, that's.
I got it, but if you want to go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, this is like this kind of links into our last one because I was thinking like, it's again, it's kind of emotional response, isn't it? I guess I don't know. I chose Journey. You guys played Journey on the PlayStation 3, 4, or 5?
Many years ago, yeah, on PS3.
Journey, like it's a game that's if you've not played it, Ellie, it's amazing.
I think you would really like it, actually.
Yeah.
What kind of thing is it?
Oof. It's very unique.
What kind of thing, isn't it?
Have you played Abzu?
That was in the water, right?
Yeah.
In the sea. Yes, I have. Yeah.
So Journey's kind of similar to Abzu because some of the same people worked on Abzu that worked on Journey.
But just not in the sea.
Well, for me, like, I mean, lots of people like me like Abzu. I really liked it. I thought it was a great game, but it lost a lot of what made Journey special. So the reason I picked Journey for this question is because Journey's got like a really weird multiplayer kind of like thing built into it, which Abzu didn't have. And to me, that was the whole point of Journey, because Journey's the same sort of thing where you basically, it's a very short game. You can play in a couple of hours, and you are this person that's made out of this red cloth, and you sort of travel towards you kind of naturally want to go towards this big mountain with light shooting out the top of it. It's really clever game design the way it draws you there, and in between, like, it's got tons of, like, again, we're talking about deeper meanings. It's got loads of messages about industrialization, about sort of polluting like a planet and destroying it, and
it's all in like hieroglyphs and like scrolls and environmental storytelling.
Yeah, really definitely. It's very open to interpretation, I guess, although I think the main sort of story is kind of clear what's happened.
I'm gonna have a look.
But the way they designed the game is because they wanted to have it so that you would have like multiplayer, so that when you're journeying across this desert, and it's obviously like it's quite lonely and sort of huge, massive desert. It's just you're this tiny speck in this massive world, and they wanted to have it so that other people like naturally sort of appear in your game. You don't see them happy, don't like spawn in front of you. You'll just be going along, and you'll hear like another character like in the distance somewhere. You're like, what the hell? It's like another person, and you kind of gravitate towards them. And they had real trouble because they said obviously what they wanted it to be was like a cooperative game, and they said as soon as you introduce like another person, you just start shooting each other or like griefing each other or like there's trolls. You know what I mean? So they really cleverly kind of like worked on the game design to the point where, I don't know, the only interactions you can have with each other really are positive. Like you kind of help each other by like doing this weird thing where you
dancing around each other and each other.
You pulse like light out of yourself, and then like because the only way you can jump in the game is by having like light charged into your sort of clothing. And then by pulsing each other, you can keep light like threaded through your clothes, so you can start flying through the air. Like if you just do it on your own, you can do Journey completely solo if you want, but you'll spend the whole time trudging through sand and sort of jumping around. But if you play it online with another person, you fly through that game. It's so free. It feels amazing to play, and it kind of had this really kind of like human connection. You know what I mean? Like it's really weird the way they've designed it. You just want to find someone, and you want to stay with them, and you want to help each other. And then And I want to
That's
spoil
so
it.
cute.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's cute, but then it tears your heart out about
Yeah,
2/3 into
when
that
you
game.
like there's parts where you can lose people, and you could have been playing that game with someone for like an hour and a half or something, and you're like, no, don't leave me, like, please.
Yeah, it's amazing because it's like no other game has really, I think, like I've played loads of multiplayer games, but most of the time you just stand there with your mates having fun or you're shooting each other. This is the only game that really made me think that the video games can create this like real strong human connection.
And without any words either, there's no like communicating. It's
no
just
dialogue, nothing.
dancing around. It's really cool.
Totally recommend that game. That game is amazing. That game is one of my favorite video games ever created. The whole team behind it was amazing. The geniuses. Genova Chen, I think, was the main game designer. They've all gone on to make other stuff, but Journey, I think, is their pinnacle.
Fantastic.
Anyone want to go next? That's my answer.
I've got one. Yours was like really like the power of the human spirit and like beautiful and inspiring.
Oh God, what's this going to be?
So mine is kind of cliche, but Silent Hill 2.
Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely.
I was writing about exploring the themes of sexuality, deviancy, regret, and psychological horror. And it's basically, Silent Hill 2 as a game, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and you can kind of take away anything you want from it. But once you read deeper into what the game designers meant and the art designers and how they work together, and certain characters like Pyramid Head and stuff like that, it's a big one, have lots of different meanings. And the deep one is the main character's like sexuality and stuff, and how
and fidelity and stuff there.
Yeah, like his spoilers, but his wife is like dying in the hospital, and he's really lustful. So it comes across in some of the designs, like the nurses, renowned for being kind of hot, but their faces are like blanked out, misshapen, because he's not looking at them for that. He's looking at them for the body. There's a lot of stuff like that in the game. A lot of the designs are very like, hypersexual, but like kinky, but also like masochistic.
Well, Pyramid Head is introduced, isn't he, performing sexual violence on one of those nurse characters.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's
like
the mannequin. That's it.
Yeah. And it's none of the other Silent Hills really, because a lot of people kind of think Silent Hill is psychological, like always. That's not really the case. Like the first game is basically an occultic horror.
Yeah.
About demons and Satan and like underground philosophies and stuff like that. And the third game is a bit of a mix of both. And then I think it was Shattered Memories was the one where it had things like you could look at posters, and if like it's a poster,
and it went to that psychologist in between the things. Yeah, I remember.
So if you look at food, the enemies would start being like gluttonous and overweight, or if you look at like loads of women, they would start growing like high heels and like nice legs and stuff. And I find like
that's really funny.
It's on the Wii and it's actually quite good. It's a pretty cool little game. But Silent Hill 2 is the one that kicked that off. And like you could read for hours and hours. But it's got to the point where people are tweeting to the original creators, like, what does this scary door mean? It must mean something. And the guy's like, I don't know.
There's that thing, isn't there? Like, there's at one point, I'm sure it's Silent Hill 2. Isn't there like a hole in the wall or something? It says like it used to be a hole here, but it's gone now, or something.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, what does that mean? And like, it's never been explained. It's just really fucking weird.
It's a lot of it's up for interpretation, but you can really go deep down into these, and people who are studying like Freudian psychology and stuff. And you go into it, and it's like, especially with like fidelity and guilt and stuff like that, the game has massive themes of like punishing people for having like lust and like the dark human feelings of life. Like,
yeah. I mean, I always talk about Silent Hill 2. It's really the game where video games properly grew up, because like in the Mega Drive and stuff, there was kind of like this edgy, video games, edgy and stuff, and get a Cyber Razor Cut and all the other bollocks that Sega did. But really, they were still just fun games. And then the first PlayStation started to appeal more to sort of 20-year-olds. With it was kind of marketed more towards people in their 20s. Like I remember like Tekken 2 and stuff like that. And
yeah, definitely EDM and like tribal tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then it wasn't really until Silent Hill 2 where the actual game itself was kind of an adult game. With, like I say, with adult themes that, like, if you were a kid, you wouldn't understand it.
It feels like a cultural, like, just like bag of gore, or like, someone's like dropped something horrible on your desk, and you're like, what is this? And then they're like, look at it.
Why would you do that?
And but you can't.
A cultural bag of gore. I love it.
Like you pick it up and you're just like, what is this? And then they're like, you will like it, and you're like, I do like it, but I don't know why. And
this is games now forever.
Yeah, well, I don't think anything really ever hit the same like Silent Hill 2 though, because that's probably next to like Dead Space, but Dead Space is different to me. Dead Space is a lot more. I don't know. They're similar, but not the same.
Dead Space 2 has got some psychological stuff going on, isn't it?
That's probably my favorite horror game ever made.
I love Dead Space. I love the start of Dead Space 2. It makes me poo in pants every time.
It's fantastic. I'm excited for that remake as well. But Silent Hill 2 is just built different, man. Like there's never really been anything that's hit the same. And the more you read into it, like I said, you can play the game and take your own experience and be like, I think this is what this meant. Or you could just go, oh, it's just a scary game.
Yeah.
But you read all the notes, you play through it multiple times because there's different like notes and descriptions depending on when you played it. Because you can replay the games.
I think Silent Hills would have probably been the closest thing to it, but obviously that game,
that is devastating.
Yeah,
but even that PT, the amount of stuff that came out of PT from just the demo alone, people like look at all these theories and all these meanings.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think PT was, you could see that Hideo Kojima was trying to recapture that Silent Hill 2 vibe, but obviously like we never got a full game out of it. But you're right. PT is, is equally as I guess influential as Silent Hill 2 in terms of our current time of horror.
I mean, you never get games like this again, but like Ellie was saying, she played Scorn, and Scorn's given me that weird, like, cultural bag of gore feel where I'm like, look at it, it's gross, I want it. Like,
yeah, you want to put your fingers in it.
Exactly, I just want to. But I think more games need that. We need some more uncomfortable feelings of where I'm like,
it's weird as well. Like, I can't explain this, and maybe you guys are pretty good at finding the right way to describe things, but like, with these cultural bag of gore games and they're really gross and stuff, but like there's something weirdly comforting about them as well. Like
it's
anyone else?
I think the best way I would explain it is, I think we mentioned this before, is the safe rooms in Resident Evil. There's a feeling of that. It's that low poly, it's kind of eerie music, but it's like the safe room music, that era of just low poly walking around. You can't really tell what you're looking at, and it's so comforting.
Maybe it's just like, I don't know, like I'm playing this like Scorn preview, and it's grotesque and stuff, but also it's like, it's kind of oddly comforting and cozy.
It's a sense. I think it's a sense.
That might just be me. I don't know.
I get what you mean. It's kind of like, I'd say, like exploring the woods at night with a flashlight.
Yeah, it's kind of also like
that would terrify me. Feeling... That's not comfortable.
I get the same feeling with like some of the Resident Evil games that I've played. Like I will always want to go back to Resident Evil 8 because I just love the characters and like the environments, and I find it really satisfying taking down the enemies in it and seeing their blood go everywhere. And like I don't know, like I obviously don't want those things in real life.
See, for me, Resident Evil, as I say, it's comforting in a sense that it's like going back to an old friend for me. Like Resident Evil 8, especially the bit in the Lady Dimitrescu's, is that her name? Her like mansion, it reminds me so much Dimitrescu. Yeah.
Big booby vampire lady. Yeah.
The bobbers.
The people listening at home.
Did she have big boobs? I didn't notice, actually.
She got big everything.
No. Should have been more highlighted by their character design. But like that whole like bit in her like castle reminded me so much of like classic Resident Evil, of like, like there've been puzzles that don't make any sense really if you think about it. Like, why would you put that in your house? But then like it just works in Resident Evil because you expect it, and it's like it's really comforting to have that like return to that survival horror puzzly, kind of dream logic almost of what's going on.
I think that's how I would treat what I'd say for these games. It's like labyrinthian, like dream logic, where like I said, walking in the woods in the dark with a flashlight, but kind of feeling comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's the whole to open this door, you're gonna need to find a ring, and you're gonna need to like poke the eye out of the thing on the ring and get a little stone out and put that into a statue and do that twice, and then put the statue on a plinth and that'll make a secret door open. You're like, who builds these houses, man?
I think that's not the encapsulating.
They make doors and rings.
The bit that encapsulates me with stuff like that is the feeling of being lost in some sort of fantasy world. It's like you guys have seen these back rooms.
Where you get like a glimpse of something behind the wall.
Yeah, it's just something otherworldly, and I love that feeling. Silent Hill 2 does it amazingly, and 3. The start of 3, the bathroom. That's like one of my favorite starts in the game because it's just a mall, but there's something about
stuff starts going wrong, doesn't it?
and it's just an empty mall though, and
it's pretty scary
about that. Right, it's just things in real life you can witness them. And it's when you do, you're like, this is so eerie, but I like it because it's like it's so empty.
You see, I always find Resident Evil to be really good fun, and then Silent Hill has always scared me a bit. And then Resident Evil hasn't ever scared me apart from there's that sequence in Resident Evil 8 with the doll maker's house, and that kind of has like sort of overtones of like Silent Hill and PT kind of thing going on. Like that bit actually genuinely scared me, but the rest of Resident Evil 8 is really good fun. It's a fun game.
I was hang on. Sorry, I'm recording bits while I'm doing this with you guys. I've been replaying Resident Evil 8 again recently.
Again?
Obviously we've got well, this is I mentioned it on the last stream podcast, I think, but I haven't touched it since then because I've just been busy with all other stuff. So this is only like the third time I've been, maybe 3.5 times. I started playing it again another time and didn't finish, so it's like 3.5 times. But obviously the DLC's coming out, so I thought it'd be good to play it. I hadn't played it on the PlayStation yet, so I'm playing it to get my trophies on the PlayStation. But on that part, like the whole way through the game up till then, I was like, I love this, yay, shooty. Like it was just fun, comforting. I love it. But then I got to that bit again, and I was just like, I just took my headphones off. I was like, I'm not listening to the sound. I've had to deal with this too many times now, this part in the game. I don't want to say what it is, but you guys know. I was like, I can't hear it again. I cannot, because I tell you why. Because it makes me feel like I need to hug that thing. I'm like, no, don't cry.
It's harsh and you're mellow, man.
But also, it is really disturbing and it does scare me a bit. A little bit.
Yeah, it scares me. Ellie, what's your pick for the poignant, deeper meaning in a game?
I'm going to be really honest. I think I am really not good at seeing deeper meanings in games currently, and I literally wrote down a game that it has a poignant meaning, but it's not like a deeper in between the lines meaning. I've mentioned it so many times before, and I need to stop talking about it. Road 96. It made me the end of it just made me feel like.
So I still haven't played that game.
It just made me feel. I'm not saying it's not the game isn't bad. Like the game is good. It's not the best game I've ever played, but it is good. But it almost made me feel guilty or something. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm just not good at at analyzing games, I guess, and seeing between the lines. So at the moment, I don't know. I've been busy. I can't think about it.
Is Road 96 the procedurally generated road trip game?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh yeah, I wanted to play that. It looked pretty good.
I think it's about escaping over the border or something. Is that what actually?
Yeah,
deep meaning?
It's a very political game. It's political without having any of our real life politics in it. But basically, there are, I think, 2 different figures that are running for president or whatever it is of this place you're in, and as you progress, you get a number of lives or a number of characters you try to get over the border, and each one you can kind of find different things through the story with, and there are different characters to interact with, and their stories all intertwine in some way. And there's some stuff where it's kind of quite run of the mill, and then there's some stuff where it does get a bit darker. And like there were just moments where I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that to happen. Like I don't know, there were twists and turns that I wasn't expecting, and then at the end, like it just got like darker and darker, not in like a horror way or anything, just the horror of our reality, of the things that really do happen, that are happening in this day and age, that are happening right now. I was sat there streaming it, and I was just staring at the screen and thinking, shit, like this stuff is literally happening now to real people. It wasn't a deeper meaning per se. I can't think of a game for that
poignant message though.
Yeah, it was a poignant message, and I was saying earlier how I don't feel like many games have made me really feel something. I don't know if I'm broken or something, probably. But
I just thought of when you were talking then about like all these themes and stuff, and we were on about those otherworldly things a minute ago. A game just popped into my head that I haven't thought about in years. I don't know if you guys have played it. It's called Tulip.
No.
No,
Tulips. I think you would like it actually. It's quite a cutesy little game. It was on like PS2, I think, and you play as it's like a little postman.
Oh, okay.
And you go around this town. Well, you go around this town like talking to people and stuff, and it's really cutesy and stuff. But some of the characters, like you just reading their text and stuff, and there's some really like dark, like really sad moments in it.
Tulip.
But
I'm not finding it. PS2.
I'll try and get a pic of it now.
That sounds like one of those games that we hidden gem.
I don't know if the phone won't pick it up.
It's a CH, not a T, isn't it? Tulip.
Yeah, tulip.
Right, okay, not like the flower.
That actually looks cute.
Like chewing your own lip.
I just sort of remembered it then because I had it, and I think it's worth a bit of cash now. But
I bet it is. Yeah,
tulips. Yeah. It's a really interesting look into games with like poignant messages and deeper meanings, because it comes across as just like a cute little, sort of adventure-y, explorer game. But there's some really deep stuff in that game. There's some moments that are like really questionable. But
when you started talking about that, there was another game then that you reminded me of, and I was, it would have been perfect for this, and it's just gone out of my head straight away. No, don't.
That's the worst when it's there and you're like,
nothing.
That's why I had to blurt it out. Then I was like,
not even any syllables, which usually that's like all that's left in my head. So I'm like, okay.
But I recommend you guys to check out Tulip. Actually, I think you would find it quite interesting.
I'm just
having a look, to see how much it is. Rowan, you've recommended a game that is £240 on eBay.
Never mind. I'll watch some YouTube videos.
So maybe a one for emulation.
I had it on PS2. I had it in my hands.
And these aren't the PAL versions. If you had like the PAL copy of it, I mean, that's probably going to go for insane amounts, because the PAL stuff is always like super low.
I don't even think I want to know.
I'm just trying to find a PAL. I can't even find a PAL copy. I reckon it's probably more than that. Probably like £500.
Oh,
ouch! Yeah. Anyway, good game. Recommended. Everybody go and blue.
Yeah, go and play Tulip.
Or find a file. But
maybe.
But
yeah. I knew that as soon as you mentioned a game, that I was like, that sounds. I haven't heard of that game. A PlayStation 2. I was like, that's going to be really rare.
It's like Rule of Rose.
Yeah. I've got Haunting Grounds. I've got, which is in America that goes for like megabucks. It's actually quite. Well, it used to be pretty easy to get over here. But yeah, Rule of Rose is like, oh god. And there's a From Software game called is it called Q1 or something? With a K.
Q1 The Grudge.
Yeah, I think it's called that. Something like that. Like Q1. But it's like really expensive.
We should do an episode on PS2 games, guys. Let's get some feedback on that.
We could do a PS2 special. Games. Yeah, that sounds cool.
I love PlayStation 2.
Me too. Yeah.
For anyone who's listening, I think we should do an obscure games episode where we just talk about random games that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah. Or cool. just anyone listening, give us questions about obscure games, I guess. I don't know.
Ask us about our weirdy games. Right, let's go to the next question. This one's from Jordan with an O again. Jordan with an _O. So thank you again for some wicked questions. What game have you sunk the most hours into? Your time sink game. So what game has like eaten away all of your time? Ellie, do you want to lead with this one?
Yeah, I feel like there's a whole bunch of games I can kind of say about this. Basically, okay, the first time I became really aware of how long I'd put into a game was when I was about 11 years old, I think, and I'd been playing Pokemon Silver. And I remember looking at my save file and thinking, oh boy, 90 hours? That's so long. No, that's nothing. That's nothing, 10-year-old Ellie.
Numbers.
So yeah, but that's the first time I was like, oh wow. Yeah, anyway. So now, these days,
this is gonna be shocking. Obviously, this is Animal Crossing. Yeah. How many hours?
Probably over 1,000, which isn't really that bad compared to a lot of players. Like that, it took me longer to get to that than many people I know. And I was like streaming it pretty much every day when it first came out. So I don't know how other people got there faster. But well done to you. I'm not really sure how that happened. But so Animal Crossing is definitely one of them. But I feel like I've spoken about that so much that I just need to not for a while. Recently, Disney Dreamlight Valley has become super addictive. So that's definitely one of them. And then also Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, cool.
It's not one that you don't need to put a huge amount of hours in. Like you need to put quite a lot in. But if you want to do everything in the game, then you do. But for me, it was like, I just didn't want it to finish. I didn't want it to end. And I kept saying to myself, oh, well, instead of going to finish the shrines or fight Ganon, why don't you see how long it takes to walk from one side of the map to the other without any like horse or anything? Just doing stupid things like that. Like, I just love it so much. So,
I mean, was that like is that the same save file as well? You've just been like keep going back to it and
yeah. I've only actually I was gonna say I've only ever had one save file, but actually originally I did have it on the Wii U, and then we ended up trading that in to get money to buy games for the Switch when I first got the Switch. So then I started it again, but I hadn't got very far on it on there.
Do you reckon that's going to be a game that's going to be worth loads in the future? The Wii U version of Breath of the Wild?
Maybe, but I'm going to try not to dwell on that.
Don't. I've got like six. There's like 6 games that I've like sold, and instantly, like 2 years later, I've been like, oh no.
It's always the way, yeah.
Yeah, I feel sad that I felt like I had to sell my Wii U to be able to afford those games at the time, and if I'd waited maybe a year or two, and like at the time I didn't do what I do now. And if I had waited, I probably wouldn't have had to. I really like the Wii U. I think it's a really snazzy console.
It's pretty neat.
So it kind of makes me sad that I don't have it anymore. But I needed the cash. So
yeah. I feel that.
But yeah, those are my time sink games. I don't know how many hours exactly on each one, just hundreds. But I don't know.
Breath of the Wild was similar for me. Yeah, I mean, I remember played through it when it came out in 2017, and I did a lot of the shrines, not most of them, but I did loads of them. I did probably about 80 something shrines. And then I did some of the Korok seeds and stuff. And then eventually I did all the divine beasts and stuff like that, and explored. But then I went and fought Ganon and sort of ended the game, but then it spits you back into the world again, doesn't it? And I sort of left it there. And then I bought the expansion pass. And then when the DLC came out, I waited until both DLCs were out. And then I went back in and I played through all the 2 DLCs. Well, before I did those, I went and did all the rest of the shrines. I went and got the what's it called? The Tunic of the Wild. I did all the quests to upgrade that. Then I did all the DLC.
I still haven't 100%ed it like you. Like I actually still need to finish one of the DLCs, the Trial of the Sword. I've done the first dungeon. I got really far on the second one, and then I died. And I think I could maybe bring myself to go back to it now, but how annoying it is.
Yeah.
You need time to get over it. So.
I think that's the 2 DLCs. Obviously, that one didn't feel like the reward was kind of worth it, really, because no one needs to charge the Master Sword all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's fine as it is. But yeah, the second DLC, having that bike at the end, it was so cool.
I still haven't
Yeah.
played the actual game.
Oh, it's one of the best games ever made.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I think for Zelda-wise, like for me, I never really got past playing Ocarina, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker. After that, I didn't really touch any of them.
There's
But
some good ones there.
Wild-
There's a really good.
Ocarina is one of my favorite games ever, man. It's great.
It feels so different to the others.
True.
I mean,
Yes.
they all feel pretty different from each other, but it's just like it's its own thing, which it makes me a little bit anxious about Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, am I gonna like it as much? I just don't want it to change too much, but I want it to have more to explore. That's kind of all I want.
Funny thing about that, because everyone was calling the second game Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
Some people still are because they can't stop.
Well, when Tears of the Kingdom got announced, I genuinely was like, "Oh, they're making another game, like a different one." I thought it was a different game. I was like, "Oh, what about Breath of the Wild 2?" And I had to get told, like, "No, that's that game." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, they called it Breath of the Wild 2 for the longest time, didn't they?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they've sprung this new title on it. It's like it's not as catchy.
We had Botwa, and now we have Totka.
Rolls off the tongue.
Totka.
So, Rowan, how about you? What's your
talking
time sync?
Oh god, mine's very basic, to be honest. I basically, anytime a Call of Duty game comes out, that's my turn my brain off, don't talk, don't think, just yeah. Then the original Destiny, I had like 700 hours.
Wow.
And then Destiny 2, I've got about 700 hours as well. They're just really addictive. And the last couple of Mortal Kombat games, I put like 600 hours into like each of them. And I was like playing competitively and stuff for those. Most fighting games, I end up putting at least 100 hours into because I love fighting games. They're like one of my favorite genres to just sit there and be like, I must learn this thing. But I'm kind of sporadic with games, man. I kind of play lots of games, so I don't really put thousands in one game.
Same.
I'd say 700 is quite a lot of hours, bro.
Yeah, a little bit.
I get really frustrated with myself when I do get addicted to a game because for me, I think I'm going to get more out of gaming from trying lots of different things, seeing lots of different stories, lots of different game genres and styles, and I just feel like that's feeding me with good stuff I'm learning. But then when I get addicted to things like Animal Crossing and Disney Dreamlight Valley, I'm like, why is it happening again?
I mean, I think what I like to have a backup game, which is I'm too like exhausted to think, so I'm just going to play. I
think that's what they are. I think I'm just exhausted most of the time.
You don't need to think, and you just sort of just play it and vibe. That's my kind of thing. And then I like to have a single player game, which is like that's my goal at the minute. I'm like, I play this game when I'm busy, and then I play my brain mountain game for the rest of the time. But then I play the brain mountain game too much. But I think like for games that I've beat multiple times, like the big ones for me is Dead Space 2, the original Dishonored. I can beat that game with my eyes closed at this point. I love that game. Go play Dishonored. And I don't remember what the third one was. But yeah, that's probably my little time sinks. But I like to hop around games a lot.
I'm the same, yeah. I mean, this question was actually like when I saw this question pop up, I was thinking anyone that plays multiplayer games or something like Animal Crossing is obviously going to have huge amount of numbers of hours. But I don't really play any multiplayer games like that. Or if I do, I just dabble in them for a little bit and then they kind of turn me off really quickly. And I've never really been into sort of farming, building sort of thing. So for me, really, like my maximum time sink would be like games that are into the 200 hours sort of area, 200 to 300.
I'm guessing like your Witchers, your Red Dead.
Yeah, I've got one down here, Witcher 3. I think I put 230 hours into Witcher 3 across all the DLCs and stuff. And then Skyrim. I've played Skyrim multiple times.
Oh, yeah, Skyrim, yeah. Skyrim, we in my little friendship group, we call it a Skyrim hole. And you just fall down there. And I've had people, like some of my closest friends, message me thinking I'm like going through something emotional. And I'm like, no, I've just been playing Skyrim. I've literally had friends creepy, like,
you okay, bro?
I said, like, do you ever need to talk to me? I'm here for you. I'm like, nah, I'm like a level 80 Argonian right now, bro. I'm cool. Like, I'm chill.
That's like a vibing game for me, like Skyrim. It's it's so easy to play any kind of Bethesda RPG, especially the Elder Scrolls. I think Fallout requires maybe a little bit more concentration.
Any kind of fantasy open world game.
Yeah,
I like. It's just like it's where I want to live. I want to be an elf. I would like a sword and a bow and arrow, please. So yeah, anything like that is good. And when you were saying there about Witcher 3 as well, like I started playing that a couple of years ago, and I do need to go back to it. But the thing that puts me off is I one day looked at, okay, if I did want to do all of the side quests and the story and everything, roughly how many hours would that be? Yeah, and it said roughly 500 hours plus, and I was like, I don't think I have time for that, unfortunately.
Should play I think Red Dead Redemption 2 when that came out. That caught me.
Probably loads.
Because it's just the most like, you can be like, today I'm gonna go do the main story, and then like 5 hours later you're like, I've been fishing for 5 hours straight.
I've been attacked by an alligator and killed it, and then sold the skin, and then I could afford that rifle, and that means I could do this other quest. It spirals out, doesn't it?
And then dressing up Arthur and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all about fashion. All these games,
growing your beard and that. Yeah, like, man, it's ideal. That's where I want to be.
The other one I put down Persona 5, which is unusual because really that game has got a cap. Because obviously, like, that game is not like an open world game. You can't like just go off and explore. Like, every time you do something, it forwards time, and that's the end of that day, and it's the next day. So that game really, like, it's the same play time for pretty much everybody. But the reason I put it down is because I played Persona 5, and then that took me just under 100 hours. It took me like 90 something hours, I think it was. And then it didn't feel like that long later when Persona 5 Royal came out, and I bought it, and I was like, I buy it because I love Persona so much, but I probably won't get around to playing it, or if I do play it, I'll probably just dabble in it. I don't think I'll ever actually have time to actually sit down and play Persona again, especially so close to it, because didn't feel like it was that long ago since I played it. And then the coronavirus lockdown happened, and I was like, might as well just play it. So I played it, and that was like 140 hours. So again, across the two, that's 240 roughly. And then I've also played Persona 5 Strikers a bit, and I know it's a different game.
That's a lot of Persona.
It feels like with the same characters. You think, I think Persona 5 Strikers burnt me out though. Like, I didn't get to the end of that game because at that point I'd spent so long with the same characters, and I was just like, I need to play something else. But yeah, so that's a kind of weird one because that's across multiple games, really. I mean, Persona 5 Royal is a bit different than Persona 5, but you can tell like that game's amazing. Again, like Persona 5, I think is one of my favorite games of all time. But I wouldn't have played it for that long if it wasn't for the lockdown. I don't think I would have played Persona 5 Royal.
I think the lockdown did that.
Same with Animal Crossing as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of a shame. I was going to say it's kind of a shame. You get to a point where if you're gaming so much, you get to a point where you realize there are games where you are just going to have to dabble in it. You do not have time to play every game the whole way through. And I have just kind of recently had that revelation, and it's made me feel a little bit sad in a way, but it's realistic. So yeah, you're right about what you're saying about dabbling for sure.
I think I did at one point because I've got this huge, it looks really small on the camera, but it's quite a lot of games behind me in this cabinet. And I'm sure I worked out at some point, like, the thing. But yeah, like, I'm sure I worked out at some point the games I haven't played, how many hours it would take to play them. And I realized that I won't be able to play them all. Like, there's no way I can't do it. Like, I don't think I'd actually have enough free time unless I quit my job and did nothing but play video games all day, every day.
I feel like it's like watching a series versus watching a movie sometimes, where I'm like, I can't play this game, it's too long. I'm just going to play 20 matches of this multiplayer game instead. That is an equivalent of like probably triple that time. And I'm like, but it's 20-minute incursions, you know?
Yeah. And then there's that, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? Some games, like, because they're quite long games, single player games, like, you think like if you got 20 minutes, it barely feels like you've dented it, and you don't feel like a sense of achievement. Whereas I guess like an online match, I read up
a really interesting fact about this, and it's about like the gaming culture in Japan.
Right.
So you know, games like Dragon Quest are sprawling, massive RPGs that are like hundreds of hours long.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's this thing, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like the Sunday night culture, where you finish your work week and instead of going to watch a movie or something, you go, okay, well, I finished my 80-hour work week or whatever, and I can sit down and I can play 2 hours of Dragon Quest before I go to bed. this game is going to last me probably this procedural year, because every Sunday I'm going to go play 2 hours of Dragon Quest. And that's my little journey. And that's why those games sell so well, because instead of being like late night TV, a lot of like business people, especially like younger generations now, but also the older generations, because Dragon Quest is like,
It's been going for ages, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly. And people
2
go
hours
to
of
work.
fun a week.
Well, that's like the estimated
That's really
like the
sad.
culture. It's kind of like,
So sad.
I'd say like the British middle class equivalent is going to sit down and watch like Coronation Street or something, isn't it? That's like their
Yeah,
equivalent.
but that's on at least 4 times a week.
Yeah, true.
I guess it just explains why Japan's got quite a lot of that they love sort of mobile gaming and gaming on the go.
Because it's like you have 40
Their
minutes.
work culture is completely different. Yeah.
So it's like,
sleeping on
40
trains
minutes.
and staircases and things.
Well, the train is where you're meant to be playing all these portable games. It's like, I've got a 40-minute break. I've got to get to work. So
I used to do that when I had my commutes to work. I used to have to travel. Well, it was to get from home to work for my commutes was like 100 1 hour 1 hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, it was what was the Animal Crossing Pocket Camp? That was one that I used to play. So yeah, I used to do my.
I remember before Monster Hunter, I don't know, it's Monster Hunter 3 on the Wii. Try. For ages. I mean, there's Monster Hunter like 1 and 2. Was it on the PlayStation 2? And then there's
PSP as well.
There were loads on PSP, wasn't there? It seemed to it was exploded in Japan.
You had to play it. I can't even remember. You had to do like the claws like this. You had to play like this. It was really bad.
Yeah, because I had one analog stick.
Yeah, it's awful.
Right. Oh, Ellie, do you want anything to say on this?
What were we talking about?
The next question. Yeah.
oh. Can I just say one thing though?
Go for it.
While we were talking, something really gross happened in the game. I don't like it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of like twisted limbs and stuff, and nice. I like it. Yeah.
Yum.
Yep.
So this last question comes from Pandaz Gaming, PANDAZZ.gaming. So shout out to him. What do you think about exclusivity of games, especially with all the takeovers and buyouts that have been happening recently? Because I know that it's a good question, because it's such a complicated issue, this idea of exclusivity of games. And I know at the moment there's been loads of purchases of studios from the platform holders, and also as well there's this court case at the moment where Microsoft have been dragged through all the different monopoly commissions about buying Activision Blizzard, and PlayStation seem really paranoid that Call of Duty is going to go exclusive, even though Microsoft said it won't.
Yeah, Jim Ryan, wasn't it, who came out with something where he was like, "Oh my God, they're look, we're not going to have COD anymore.
That's the end of PlayStation. Give it up."
And Microsoft were like, "No, we didn't say that," and then they're like, "No, you're going to do it though." It's like preemptive attack.
Yeah, I mean. Do I want to start on this? Opinions on exclusivity of stuff?
I can shoot, yeah.
Go for it.
I don't like the idea of one corporation owning loads of game studios.
Like the Disney of games.
Yeah, everything is turning into these big, cinematic universe style things now, where it's like everything has to be owned by one big thing, and then everything has because crossovers is a big thing in gaming now.
Fortnite's made a living off it, isn't it?
Exactly. There's that multiverses game now. As well.
Of course, yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of turning into that, and I don't think it's a great thing for the industry. I think it's good for some companies like Activision to get a bit of a kick up the arse and be like, new management, we're doing this. But I don't like the idea of a big monopoly company having access to everything and kind of filtering it out and be like, no, you can have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. As someone who's, trying to become a, part of the games industry and stuff, I don't think I'd like the idea of, my company being brought out by someone and being like, no, you can only do this for us. That being said, I'm a PlayStation fanboy, so hit me up, Sony. But I think it's more like Game Pass is great for the consumer.
Yeah, definitely.
Terrible for business.
I reckon. I don't know. It's a complicated issue, Game Pass.
Well, a lot of people is the argument, especially with fighting games now, because Multiverse has proved it. Free to play is one of the best ways to get people in.
Yeah.
And then you offer like cosmetics and loot boxes. Well, not loot boxes anymore.
In-app purchases.
Yeah. And I think Game Pass is kind of doing that with a lot of modern releases, but I think a lot of studios could be losing out on quite a bit of money if they're single-player games or they're small indie titles. Because people aren't going out and buying these games now. They're going, I'll just wait for it to be on the pass.
Yeah, Game Pass has got a weird... Again, it's quite complicated to get like an idea of how Game Pass works without being obviously involved in it. I mean, Sony are in a unique position that they've got a game in Game Pass, even though they're a competitor, because they've got that what's that baseball game? MLB,
yeah.
That's a Sony owned game, like licensed game. But it's on Game Pass, so they must know how Game Pass works.
It's even like the Call of Duty situation right now. It is messy, right? So Activision is owned by Microsoft now.
Right, maybe at some point, yeah.
Well, maybe. But Call of Duty has had a deal with PlayStation, and they've got another 3 years. So right now, the advert is like, play on Xbox, but pre-order for PlayStation for this, and then you'll get this on PC, and it's a mess. And I think they're working on this game for the next 3 years, and then the PlayStation exclusivity stuff runs out, and that's why PlayStation's kind of going, oh God, what are we going to do?
There are definitely pros and cons with Game Pass, and like what you were saying there about how some game studios and some like particularly indie studios might be missing out. I've been thinking about that quite a bit recently, because I think from my perspective as someone who uses Game Pass to play games, sometimes like I don't fully understand how they could possibly be making enough to pay all of those developers and things properly, like the amount that they would be making otherwise. But I guess that maybe it's that more people feel enticed to try a game because they have Game Pass already. So maybe they're trying a game they wouldn't have tried otherwise because they couldn't afford it to buy the full game. Yeah. So maybe there are some like pros to it that way.
It's great for the consumer, definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say for me, like my personal preference with if I'm going to play a game on Game Pass is if it's something that I've been really looking forward to, but I know it's going to be on Game Pass, but I have a feeling I'll probably really like it. I'd much rather wait until either I know how like Game Pass sometimes has early access games. Like for example, there was one Little Witch in the Woods I've really wanted to play for ages, so I played the demo, and they have the early access on Game Pass, or they had it recently, but I still don't want to play it on Game Pass. I still want to wait until the full game is out, maybe on a console, maybe on PC, but I just want to wait till the full experience is there. So I think there's certain games where I would decide to play it on Game Pass. For example, the Disney one that I mentioned earlier, that's a good one because I don't really want to have to fork out the full amount for that. I think it is quite expensive for what it is, like if you're buying it on Switch or whatever else. And
that's in early access as well, that game.
Yeah, that is early access, but they're going to be adding stuff onto it later. And I think for now, like I've still not even got through the early access amount. There is a lot on the early access. Like
it's massive.
It is big. So like I might get to a point where I might finish that early access part of the game, and I might think, do you know what? I think I've had enough of that. And then at least I've like had the experience of it on Game Pass. If I decide actually I do like this enough, and it is a good game to switch off to, and I want to keep going back to it, then yeah, I'll purchase it, and I'll get it on Xbox. So I've got my progress there and everything. So I would not want to start that again and put all the hours in again. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I'm also in a fortunate position where I can choose between that. Like I can choose whether to place it on Game Pass or the Switch or the PlayStation or you know. Sorry, just
cat just spawned.
Was she there before or
I don't know.
I don't know either. But yeah, I was going to say with the kind of monopoly that's happening with acquisitions, though, like I think that's an inevitable part of any industry. Like whether it's gaming or anything else, I think this will always occur at some point, but I agree with Rowan. I don't think it's good for there to be one kind of master company that starts buying everything up. I think it's healthy to have competition within an industry, because competition will be the catalyst of growth and development in many different ways. And so we need that. I think the companies are aware of that. And I think there are maybe certain rules in place as well to prevent someone buying everything. But yeah, I think the last year or so it seems to have escalated, but we'll probably see it escalate, stay there for a while, and then it will dip down again where it happens less. I don't know. I just things never keep just going up, do they? They always dip down like that. So
I think the reason why this has popped up as a question, isn't it? I mean, because exclusives have been the bread and butter of games forever. Like the Mario was never on the Mega Drive. Sonic was never on.
Sega does what Nintendo don't. Kind of
yeah. It's what sells platforms. You mean like that's if every platform played every game with no differentiating factor between them, then it would be like just there'd be no reason to buy one platform over another, would there? If one platform,
I think
obviously,
it's good to have some exclusives and then some not exclusives, just a good mixture of them, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is the argument from Microsoft, isn't it? It's the same as the Epic Game Store, is that, use the Epic Game Store first, an example. When Epic Game Store started, obviously, like Steam, basically at that point, had become a synonym for PC gaming. Like if you play games on PC, you probably play on Steam.
It still kind of is.
It still kind of is, yeah. So Epic's sort of reason for buying out games exclusivity was that if we don't buy exclusive games, because we can't make them, we used to make games. Epic really just make engines and stuff now. So if they were to try and invest in making their own exclusive games, there's no way they could put enough output to then make people turn off Steam. So by purchasing these exclusivity, like on these games, or purchasing studios, it seems like kind of like, oh, I can't play my favorite game on Steam anymore. It's like, yeah, but now there's a reason for you to go to Epic Games. There wasn't before, but now there is. Yeah. So that creates competition. And I think Microsoft are arguably the same. Basically, it's that even though Microsoft are a huge corporation, they're like, I don't know how many times bigger than Sony. In terms of the video game market, they're not. They're much smaller. Like they are infinitesimally smaller compared to Sony. Sony PlayStation is colossal in terms of the market share that they have in terms of console space. So really, like Microsoft purchasing, say, Bethesda, I mean, obviously it's made Microsoft more appealing in terms of the amount of exclusives it now has by taking them away from PlayStation, not by generating new things.
I think that's what makes...
That's why everyone gets hit off about it, isn't it?
It's the bad blood about it. It's more, it's like, I wouldn't mind if it was like, oh, it's a new thing. I think that's what most people are, oh, it's a new thing, I don't care. Or it's an established thing like Halo. It's like, oh, you can, you guys can have that. That's your thing. But when they're going, remember Skyrim and remember Fallout and remember this and Doom and id? Yeah, you like that? No. It's like, this is ours now. We'll take it.
Yeah.
I think maybe there should be, I don't know if there's any clauses, like legal clauses about this, but if something had been a game that was available on one console, I don't think it's fair to then say, right, we're not allowing that on there anymore. It's only going to be on this one from now on. I think there should be something against that. But I think that potentially when there are acquisitions made, for example, with Microsoft acquiring Activision again, I think that there's also potential for good and new things to happen from that. So like they then have the potential to start getting teams of developers working on games games that we haven't seen new ones of in a series for a while. So I know some people have been like, oh, maybe there will be a new Spyro game or something like that. Maybe they'll take some of their employees and put them on a team for something like that.
I would love to see a new Legacy of Kain. That's what I want. I just want that.
I think that there might be that there's a situation occurring where new clauses and things do need to be drawn up to address these issues, to prevent certain things from happening, because you don't want unhappy customers. You don't want to ruin an industry. You don't want to destroy competition. Like, you need to have competition there, but at the same time as some stuff maybe needing to be reviewed and looked at in that way, there is also, like, we do have the positive of there is potential for like other new stuff to happen from these acquisitions as well.
I think PC is breaching the gap for that at the minute, because Sony's moved to PC a lot now as well. And
although part of me always thinks that's like a clever scheme to get people to buy PlayStation 5s.
Well, yeah, we'll give you the old game that's done, so you can come buy the new game. But most people I know are saying, "Oh, I'll just wait a year." Same as Epic Games, "Oh, I'll just wait a year." And
I can't think of anything that it's been just a year. Can you? I mean, these games that the Sony point over there, like Death Stranding doesn't count because that's Kojima Productions. They really own that game.
Well, it's like they got Miles Morales, and that was like 3 years after. Like, they're getting that now.
Yeah. Oh, is Miles Morales on PC now, is it?
Yeah, it got announced. I don't know when it's out, but it's soon.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I'm just happy people can play more games, to be fair. And I think people need to kind of get rid of the idea of console wars. You know, make love, not console war. It's
I was
over
just gonna
now.
say about that.
Like,
I just will never understand that mentality. Like,
I kind of get it. If you again, it comes down to means, isn't it? I guess if you're someone who can really only afford one console, because especially with Sony pushing prices up, and it is them pushing them up, really. You know, if they're saying that all games now should be like 60 quid up, then you're only going to be able to afford one console, and then it's hard not to become. If you can't afford to have multiple consoles, it's hard not to be invested in that one that you bought. So that if a company turns around and goes, "Well, it's not that console," you start going, "F the other console, I hate them."
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, we never had a console until I got to the point where I was 11. My dad randomly was like, "Let's get a PlayStation 2." We had never had one. Like, I'd always been interested in gaming. Like, I would even read through gaming magazines and stuff. I didn't have a console. I was just really interested in it. And then we finally got one, and we had that for years. It broke. We managed to fix it. It broke again. We replaced it. Like, we had a secondhand one. Like, we had a PlayStation, but I never was like, "Oh, damn, Xbox users!" Like, who cares?
But that's because, like, I guess I don't know. PlayStation is the monopoly, isn't it? It's the biggest one.
Yeah.
I guess as well, the other part of that is when I was a kid, we didn't really use the internet much for anything, so we didn't have that aspect of it.
There's like an echo chamber. Especially when, like, I was growing up, it was like you were one or the other. Like, you could play the same game, but it's like, oh, we both play Call of Duty. There's a big example today. And, but, you know, I'm on PlayStation, you're on Xbox. And then, you know, you can't cross over. But now there's crossplay. And I think crossplay is the best thing to happen to the industry in years.
I love crossplay so much.
The best thing. There's games that died because there's no crossplay. And now there's games coming back from the grave and, like, you know, having a brand new player base.
Is that like Evolve, right?
Evolve came back, all right. It came back for like a week. It's not crossplay. Yeah, like an underground PC goblin crew. But no, I think definitely, I think we need to throw away these, you know, mine's better than yours kind of thing. I feel like everyone should just be happy to be playing these games.
I think that, like,
I have a.
I was gonna say, when it comes to like, oh, go on, really go on.
I just want to ask: do you guys think that is more of a guy thing?
I don't know,
because I never like. I don't think I see any like. I mean, it has got to happen somewhere, I'm sure, because, you know, it's not going to be like all girls are like, "Oh no, I just don't care about it." Like, not every girl is like that, but like. Is it more of a guy thing to be like, this is better than that, and then comparing everything and getting angry about it?
I think so. I think guys love to compare sizes of things, and they love to, you know, the guys is like, "Oh, my thing's the best thing." You know, it is a guy thing, in my opinion.
Maybe.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about it. Any time I've ever seen an angry female gamer on like Reddit, I can't think of any.
It's men.
We do get angry, but it's like, damn it, Animal Crossing.
Not like in petty console. It's a thing. Like, I think the whole console thing is like, if we're talking about exclusivity, like again, it doesn't like you're saying, Ellie, like I'm very fortunate to be in the position where it never bothers me. If Microsoft say we just bought this game and it'll never be on PlayStation again, I'm like, that's fine, I've got an Xbox. But like, I can completely understand where someone who's a PlayStation gamer is like getting angry about that.
Yeah, me.
Where the console wars like break down though is where you have stuff like there'll be like the same game on every system, and then on a Digital Foundry review, there'll be like 10 frames per second better performance for like a minute on one of the consoles. Everyone's like, "Oh, the console's trash." It's like, come on,
so
guys.
much.
Like,
but then you have the PC people who are like, my $3,000 PC is better than your.
I bloody well hope so. What do you know what I mean? Like, imagine spending $3,000 on a PC and not getting an extra like 60 FPS or something.
Yeah, it's comparing sizes all over again. And
yeah, that's the kind of thing that needs to go down in the bin.
Definitely,
it's a bit of competition mindset, I guess, like competitiveness between. I don't know. Is it that people have the desire that they want to be better than others? Does that come into it?
If you could say the sky is blue, and someone will come up to you and say, "Well, only on like these days. Sometimes it's grey." That's how.
And only if you look
work.
at this.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, only if
the sky is blue. Wow, only sometimes. And it's like, well, it's just a blanket statement. No, that's how people work. Some people just want the argument. That's just how it works.
But yeah, I mean, exclusivity is a complicated thing, isn't it? I mean, there's also some things where, like, I mean, some people get really angry about Bayonetta and Nintendo because Bayonetta obviously started out as multi-platform, and then Bayonetta 2 and now 3 that's coming out very soon, like within about a month.
Isn't 3 coming to PC though?
I think it's only on Switch. It might be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong here. I thought it's just Switch.
That's just a game I've never ever liked. I've tried it. Really don't
I love
like
Bayonetta. It's amazing.
I've played the first one and I've got to play the other one.
Console war! No, but like, no, I mean, but that's the thing, isn't it? Like, sometimes there's a story behind the scenes. Like, people get really angry about Bayonetta not being on like their Xbox or PlayStation now. But Bayonetta 2, like Nintendo have said like multiple times, the game wouldn't exist without their input. Like, Sega were done with Bayonetta. It didn't sell as much as they wanted it to. It was a technical mess on PlayStation that they never really got around to properly ever fixing. And so they kind of gave up on it. And really, it was Nintendo that was just like, if you don't want to invest in the IP, then we'll throw the money in, and if you make the game for us. So, you mean, like, sometimes I think exclusives, it depends what the situation is behind the scenes, isn't it? Like, that's an exclusive that Nintendo are rightly getting there. Getting a reward for basically.
Did you hear that Nintendo are doing a crossover game? You know, like how Mario have the Rabbids thing. Apparently, they're doing one where it's Mario, Rabbids, and Bayonetta.
Is that actually happening?
Really cool. Yeah.
Really?
Oh wait, no. It might just be. Maybe it's just Bayonetta and the Rabbids.
Oh God, that sounds horrendous.
That's so weird.
This is coming from my mind. It's not real.
That sounds like an Ann Summers catalog type thing waiting to happen.
No, don't taint Ann Summers with Bayonetta and Rabbids.
I heard that like either in some, is it like a TV series coming out or something, or maybe it's the next Rabbids game, but the Rabbids are going to actually talk, like they've got voiced lines of dialogue.
Oh, they do now, yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, so weird.
I avoid them.
What has the world come to?
Rabbids are like minions.
They are, yeah. They're Ubisoft's minions.
I feel like that's the best voice acting gig ever, though.
What, a minion or a rabbit?
No, rabbit. You just get like, that's what they do. Like, hit me up, Ubisoft. We're not on good terms.
Please
Ubisoft.
make him a rabbit.
You can repair that relationship by giving Rowan a job.
Mm-hmm. I might buy one of your games, but
wow.
Yeah, we got bad blood. It's all these Assassin's Creed games. I'm going off topic, but yeah.
Right, guys. We have to call it a day now, unfortunately. Next episode, there should be a special Halloween special, which is pretty cool. Look forward to.
Are we dressing up?
I can attempt.
That is a good question. Yeah, I can attempt to. Yeah, I was thinking about zombieing up or something.
I don't know if I can.
Great. Everyone will turn up and then he'd be like, "Hi guys,"
Just sellotape some toast to my head and be like, "I came with toast."
But yeah, thanks for joining me again. It's been a pleasure. Again.
Yeah. Again. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, listeners out there, for tuning in as well.
And remember, if you guys want a obscure PlayStation 2 episode where I waffle,
yes,
and
please,
we will waffle about things, please say.
Send those questions in. Thanks, everybody.
Peace out, boys.
Bye.
See ya.